is November 13th. I'm going to have Jackie Abram, one of the co-authors of Hush Money. And we are going to just have an amazing conversation, because a book like Hush Money, Erica, is something that's going to drive radical change, something that's going to drive, more than conversation, is going to drive action. So that's the first show. And then the second show, which I do at 5 p.m. Central Time, is Radical Power. And on Radical Power, that show is really around helping particularly Black, Brown, Latin, Native American women, particularly in tech and in the tech fields, understand where the source of that power comes from. Because I think a lot of times, right, we work at a company and we think that a company, they have power over us and they can control our careers and they can control what we post on LinkedIn and they can control the live streams or the gigs that we do or us starting our own companies. The bottom line is we do not, we have our own power, and we do not have to submit our own autonomy and our own power over to an employer just because they're paying for our time. Because first and foremost, they're exploiting us. Okay, literally all of us, except for the top 500 earners in the world, right? We're being exploited for our labor. And so I think it's really important to understand power and the power structures and power that we have. So that whole show, Radical Power, this first series, I've been talking with my friend and colleague, Sana A. Khan, who is also a technology, longtime technology veteran, right? So we talk about technology challenges, technology trends. This week we talked about, some of the technology new statistics that came out around women in tech. And so the idea is, to really drive, not just talk, but I want to meet and talk to people who are doing things, because that's the thing, right? We've been talking and we can get on social media and we can read, but we have to have some action happening.
Yeah. How'd you get to doing 2 shows on a Saturday, and how'd you get to have those topics?
So I came up with Radical Change as a concept several years back for my company, but because I had trouble trying to secure that domain and I wasn't really letting my creativity take over, I was stuck like, okay, well, this is the name of the company. I have all these things that I want to do, but I kind of was stuck. Part of the reason I was stuck is because I allowed my 9 to 5, right, be like the dominant thing that I focused on. And that really is one of my biggest lessons that I have learned, is that regardless of where you get your paycheck, right, your basic paycheck, your 9 to 5 paycheck, you still have a responsibility to yourself, right? And you still have a responsibility to, live out your story, right? And your aspirations and your dreams. So I've always, because I've been a change manager, a change leader, a change practitioner, a change expert, for my entire career, I've always understood the power of change. And I've always understood the importance of change. And I've always tried to help people deal with change in a way that's going to be productive, that's not going to be painful. And, the challenge has been, previously, I think the challenge has been me trying to convince people of my expertise or, of whatever. And what it really has to be is me understanding what that is and what that's about. So when you think about the word radical, I think a lot of people have it misunderstood. And I think people think of radical is off of the beaten path and, out here in outer space, right? And something that is not that doesn't seem realistic or whatever. But the root of radical, the word radical is derived, Erica, from the word rooted, right? And so radical is about getting to the root of something. It's about thoroughness and completeness. And it's like digging deep, right? So if I think of the root of change, That's why I'm using the term, I call my company Radical Change, right? Because the root of change is thorough. You have to get to, if you kind of think about root cause analysis, right? You have to get to the root of the problem. And so throughout my career, right, in every role as a change leader, change manager, change architect, you have to ask people questions to get to the root of the problem. Because in order to, say, okay, well, we want to change something. We want to go from point A to point B. Well, everything that you do is some kind of change, right? We are changing right now. I'm not the same that I was 1 second ago. You're not the same that you were 1 second ago, right? So change is a consistent, a consistent energy, right? Change happens all the time. And so when I thought about those concepts of, radical change and what I wanted to do, I knew that it was going to involve teaching change and helping people understand what change is from the root. And so what I've learned and how I kind of got to, the whole 2 shows thing, what I've learned is you have to, number one, connect to your story. And everybody has a story. And the thing is, right, we can either let other people's story about us define us, right, and what we're going to do, or we can define our own stories. And so for me, my story has always been rooted in change. So from the very, beginning of my life, right, trying to deal with growing up in an abusive household, but I had to pretend that everything was okay on the outside, right? So then, going to a white school when I was in 6th grade, right? Learning a different way to like interact based on how people are treating me. Then going away to college, right? And being on my own, but in a very different type of environment. So change, right? It has just been a constant theme for me personally and professionally. And so I have just, decided to run with it, right? And I've decided to adopt it as that solution that I'm bringing to the world to try to really drive real change, right? Meaningful, measurable change. So radical change, right? That first show, all about talking to people and who are driving radical change. The second show, radical power, all about the power that we have. And the reason that it doesn't feel overly hard to do or complex to do for me is because it's my mission. Like we have got to help people understand how to adopt and then drive change. And people have to understand that they have power, because I think that a lot of us, either we believe that we don't have power because we've surrendered it voluntarily or involuntarily. So if you think about the power of social media as an example, right? People, some people are hooked on social media, whether it's their Twitter, whether it's their LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever. Some people are hooked on it, right? To where they have to check it constantly. They're on it. They have alerts and notifications and badges going off so that they can right? And that is power that you voluntarily have given away. Now, not that all of those companies haven't done everything possible to hook you on it, right? Just like tobacco companies have done everything to hook people on smoking, right? Everything is designed for capitalists to thrive, right? And so the thing is, I think helping people start to uncover and not only see the harm and the inequity, right? But to also see that they have power, the power of change that is within themselves. So I'm just hooked on it. And that's what's important to me.
So, what trying to make it so I don't have that echo. Do you still hear an echo?
Yes, I can hear it when you talk.
Well, what I was still doing it. You went through a lot of content right there. How can see how do you break that up? How do you get you got 2 shows in one day. How do you break that up? How do you get that out there?
So, okay, so I get it out there with help for sure. So I think the first thing, right, is knowing what you want to talk about and knowing, what those things are that link to who you are. So I had a conversation yesterday with somebody and he was saying, okay, so what is digital change leadership? He was asking me like, what does that mean? Right. So if somebody says, okay, Vonda, tell me about radical change in your company, right? What is that? Right. So I'll tell people that I'm a digital change leadership firm. And so for me, right, change and change leadership is all about learning to lead change. And I know I've talked, to different audiences about it. But for me, the way I break it down, LLC, learn, lead change, the learn is all about learning your own beliefs, intentions, attitudes, and self-view, which is learn bias. Lead, which is leadership through authenticity, curiosity, and empathy. And then change, which is, those 7 certainties that I've talked about, which is the culture, the coalition, the capacity, the competence, the conviction, the courage, and the commitment are the foundations, right, from the way I see it for change. So when I think about like pulling content or shows, so if I'm going to be, let's say, by myself and I don't have a guest, then I may have, 3 things. These are the things that I'm going to talk about today. And so for me, my messaging and my content is going to always be related to my business and what I'm trying to do, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to revolutionize tech. I'm trying to change tech for good. I'm trying to FUBU tech, because the way tech is going now, it is not meant for us. Tech is literally big tech, and the corporations and the billionaires, they are just trying to make as much money as possible, and they are not doing with tech the good that is necessary. They keep promising and talking about it. Those inventions exist, the technology exists, the algorithms exist, right? But who is in control? It is literally 500 people, billionaires, that control everything. It's not our politicians. Our politicians are paid off by them, right? And so that's how it works. And so for me, there is an unlimited amount of content. All I have to do is literally just wake up and there is content. And so one of the things that I think about around content is something that Brian J. Olds, who is the founder of Black Speakers Network, his tagline or slogan that he says, and I think about it all the time, is he says, "Speak up. Your audience awaits." So think about that. If there is an audience for all this misinformation, nonsense, conspiracy theories, and garbage, what is it that Erica Bates has to say? Vonda Page has to say, right? Sana A. Khan has to say. Farzeen Farzad has to say, right? What do we have to say that people need to hear? And that's what it's about. What do people need to hear? People need to hear you have power, you can make change. You do not have to be a victim of, what other people are trying to get you to do, and how to get you to operate. You can be your own, you can have your own agency and be your own CEO, your own star player, your own captain, your own president, your own founder. You're muted.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes,
You still hear the echo?
not as bad.
I
No,
am
I think
having
it's gone.
Oh, I was about to say I'm having a worst tech day. Well,
And
I
the
like
echo
that
is
you
back.
said you wake up and you have content that people can create their own thing. So you said you needed help. So how did you know you needed help? When did you know you needed help? And when did you decide to get it?
When it comes to my content, or when it comes to, when it comes to content, yeah. So I think I knew. So if I think about it, like, content is everywhere. And so for me, and I think for most of us, I think if you think about it from the standpoint of if you read something. So for example, right, I talked about Sana and we talked about some of the tech stats, right? So for an example, I'm so sad I opened up to this first one. I'm not going to read that one because that made me mad. Here we go. Okay, so here's one. The quit rate, this is from Finances Online. The quit rate of women in technology is almost twice as high as that of men. In the tech sector, about 50% of women quit their jobs before age 35. Okay, so that right there, I can tell you why all that happens. And I could literally make an hour-long conversation about that because not only because I've been in tech for, my entire career, but because I talk to people, because I see statistics and I read. And so the way I would, if I'm looking for content or I'm like, oh my God, I need something, literally all I have to do is pick up anything because tech is everything and it's part of everything. And I could just type in, recent tech stats, or I could type in, AI news, or I could type in machine learning, or I could type in, you know what I'm saying? Any topic. And so if you think about it, if you can think, then you have content. If you can speak, right? You have content. If you have a way to get your thoughts down, whether you have to talk them into a phone and, dictate them or do a recording, but that's your content, right? And I forgot the exact statistics. It's in one of my other tools over here, but they say that if a picture is worth 1,000 words, on the internet, a video is worth 1.6 million likes or something like that. I forgot the term, but that's what it is. And so the thing is too, is, use who you are and don't be afraid of that. Right. And I think now we are waking up in a different way to where we're not allowing what the world is telling us how to be. We're not allowing white supremacy to dictate how we show up in the world. And that's where I am with it. Like, I'm not going to allow white supremacy to dictate how I show up. So my content is my content. Were you on the call last week on Radical Power with me and Sana when I had to shut that white supremacist dude down because he started making comments in the chat? Were you on that?
I was. How did you know he was a supremacist?
Because if he wants to tell me how to talk and not to drink water, then he obviously has, he believes that his thought process is supreme, right? And that he should be able to dictate and tell me what to do. That's the definition of white supremacy, that you think you have the privilege and power to try to tell other people what to do. This is my show. This is Living Corporate Network, is Zach's network, my show. And this dude is going to tell me to stop drinking water or tea or whatever.
Like, just like pointing out stuff.
No, first of all, but why would that be appropriate? Why would that be appropriate for him to point out anything?
I didn't feel the need to point out anything.
Because you're not a supremacist, because you don't think you're better than me, because you don't think that your way is the right way. You don't think your way is the only way. You don't think your way is the way that I have to sign up for. That is white supremacy in action. So that's why I shut that shit down. And the thing is, right, when I saw the comment, but I tried to ignore it, and I was hoping Sana was going to ignore it. And then I kept seeing her put her head down and responding. And then that's when I was like, you going to have, because he did it to distract. And it doesn't matter whether he was purposely trying to distract or not. It was distracting, because who are you to tell anybody, he's like, oh, must be amateurs. Maybe you didn't see all the comments, but it was harassment. It was racial harassment. It was sexual harassment.
I did think it was harassment. I just thought he was trying to be funny or amuse himself.
How is harassment funny though? But
It
that's my
is
thing.
not.
Exactly. So this is the thing, right? So this is why I shut it down, and he is banned and he cannot participate on any living corporate shows. And if he tries to log on again as somebody else and do that same nonsense, I will shut it down. We already looked into his profile. We're looking for his employer right now. So this is the thing. This is a new age. This is a new day. And the first and foremost is, we do not have to succumb to the white supremacy in that way. You understand? And so in the moment, maybe it didn't feel like that's what it was, but that's what it is. Because who is one person to tell you how you supposed to be and how you supposed to show up? You can show up how you want to show up. So for me, that's like for me to say, Erica, instead of you putting your hand like that, you should put it like that. Who am I to tell you how to be? I'm not your mother, but even if I was your mother, you are a grown person, right? And you have your own agency. So Jack from that I banned from Living Corporate Network, Jack had no right to say any of that, because that's not what, if he would have said, anything like good morning, or happy Saturday, or it's a great day here in wherever he's living, city, but he was trying to throw the conversation off track, and it's nothing funny about that. And I'm never going to accept it. So anybody can come on any one of my platforms, typing in some nonsense in the chat, and guess what? Screen grab, report, block, ban, delete, boom. I will do that on any platform I have. I had somebody say something to me about something I said on LinkedIn, I don't even respond. And as a matter of fact, starting on Monday, I'm not even going to be reading any of that stuff. My team is going to be doing it for me, because I'm not going to waste my time on it, because it's another thing that, although it has all of these positive and great capabilities, how does it get used? Right? And how do people use it? Like, I have the most aggressive salespeople in my LinkedIn messages. Like, it's just like ridiculous. Like, and I'm just like, why are they trying to be so aggressive? Right? Like, you trying to get me to spend my money with you, and you think you're going to bully me into it? So even if Jack thought he was trying to be funny, maybe he did think he was being funny. It doesn't matter. But now he knows, number one, it's not funny. Number two, it's harassment. Number three, it will not be tolerated. And number four, he's banned, period. And like I said, there's work underway to figure out to take future steps, because I'm not doing it anymore. And I want other people, and that's a change that I'm making for myself, right? Is what I'm going to allow and what I'm not going to allow. And what I'm not going to allow is, I'm not going to allow people to wield white supremacy over me, unless it's a life or death situation, right? So unless it's cops, I'm not going to let nobody wield white supremacy over me. You understand what I'm saying?
I do like that you protected your guests. Like, you tolerated as long as you could, but you also protected your guests.
Yeah. And because I could see she was getting flustered and she was trying to be nice or whatever, but that's because that's what women are trained to do, right? We are trained to, like, so for example, when we get catcalled, we're supposed to be like, oh, act like it's cute. I don't. I ignore it. And if they get like too close in my face or they whatever, I say, back up.
Yeah.
Or
I definitely
say,
can't stand people trying to come within more than 3 feet of me.
Right. I say, you better back up. Or I say, I'm not for it.
Yeah.
Just like that. I don't smile. And that's one thing I've been working on for the past, like, I would say 8 or 9 years, is don't smile for nothing. And don't smile just because it was going to make a man or a white man comfortable. Smile when I want to smile. Like I smile, I'm talking to Erica. But I'm happy to be talking to Erica and I want to smile. But I'm not happy if somebody cat calling me. That's not, there's literally no cat call that would make me smile. I mean, it's like, hey, hey, you look good. That's not gonna make me be like, oh, thank you. Are you kidding?
So you had spoke about getting a team together. How did you know when you needed a team?
So I've known I've needed a team, and always teams are the bomb. And you know, I talk about in my you know, 7 certainties of change. Coalition is the second C, because you always need a coalition of people when you're trying to do real work, when you're trying to do meaningful things, and you're trying to do things that are complex, that are challenging, that are different, that break the mold. You got to have a coalition of people. And that goes back to just what I have learned, right, in my field of change and being a change leader, is coalitions are the way things get done. If you think about civil rights, if you think about LGBTQ rights, if you think about immigrants' rights, if you think about any movement, right, you have to have a whole lot of people, right, to help you do the right thing. So I've known for a long time, and you know, I've made some mistakes selecting teams and selecting people to be on my team. And what I've learned is that your team, they have to be they have to want to be on your team. So like, this is an interesting thing that I'm learning, and I've been trying to help my daughter understand and learn it too. When you have people in your life, those people in your life that are close to you, they need to be team you. So everybody that's close to Erica needs to be team Erica. And so when you bring in people outside of your family, right, and your close friend network, those people need to be team Erica. So let's say uh Zoom, I'll use them as an example because that's the platform that we're recording on. Let's say Zoom decides that Zoom wants to help team Erica get her, you know, get her business into a different region of the world, as an example, right? But then they start coming to you, telling you all about, you know, talk virtual needs to be this, and no, you should really do that, and no, you should do this, and you should do that, and everything they're talking to you about, you can't see how that's benefiting Team Erica and Team Erica's business. All, but they're giving you advice, and you're thinking, well, it seems like they know what they're doing because look how big they are, look how great they're doing out in the world, right? Maybe I should listen. Um, and so you need to listen to your intuition and really think about it, who's on your team and who do they want to be on your team. So as I started kind of working with some people, and I've had to drop some people and bring on new ones and da 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 da, what I've learned is they have to be excited about your vision and what you're trying to do. And so when I first started interviewing people, because then I said, I need to interview people in a different way. So instead of letting people tell me, hey, here's my experience, here's my credentials, here's what I can do, I want to tell you, here's what I'm about. Now, let me ask you some questions. So it's more like an interview, but it's after I tell them who I am, because I got to make people have to want to join my team. People have to want to hear from me. And so if people don't want to hear from me and aren't excited by me and what I'm saying, then that's not a really good match for your team, right? They got to be like, oh, I get you and I see what you're doing. And they got to be able to understand. And I can tell you, the team I have now, Ryan Cheery, and I'm building up, they get it. They get me. Like, we be working on Slack. Like, they are so much in tune with my business and with me that it's easy for us to work together. You know what I mean? But I think, you know, you need a team when you're trying to get stuff done and you have all this going on up here, but you can't get it down here, and you can't get it down here, or you can't get it like out here, right? Like out into the world. And I have so much that I cannot get out into the world. I have, you know, apps that I'm trying to build. I got programs that I'm spinning off. I have another podcast that I'm kicking off that's going to be syndicated next month. Like literally, I have so many things that I'm trying to do that I want to do. It's not enough hours in the day. It's not enough time. It's not enough resources, you know, to even get it done. So that's kind of how I think about it.
How many team members do you think you'll need?
so I think within the next, so now I'm bringing on another person Monday. So then I have 3. This is November. So, I mean, I would say in the next 4 months, I'm definitely going to need a lead technologist. And then I'm going to need others. But I mean, I would probably say within the next 12 to 18 months, I expect to build a really decent sized team. I don't know how many people that would be. I mean, it's definitely a combination of, internal, different types of a mix of resources, but I'm going to need a huge team because I need architects. I'm gonna need a domain architect. I need engineers. I'm gonna need cybersecurity experts. I need, developers. I'm gonna need business development person. You know what I mean? Tons of people. Like my company is going to grow. I don't have my roadmap outlined like exactly how big and fast, but I know that it's going to be expanding. And we grow, right? And we evolve and we expand. And so yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, right? My plan is to, live on the earth for another 51, 52 years. Who knows how big of a daggone team I could build by then, right?
Yeah, I like that you already know that it's going to grow.
Absolutely.
So with your team, you're about to have 3 people. Are they
Have
working
3.
on? Oh, well, 3.
I have 2. Sorry, I have 2 on Monday, the third person. I'll have the third person.
Okay.
And actually,
Good though, because I know working
yeah.
with you's got to be fun. So are they working on your 2 shows, or are they helping you with your business of Radical Change?
So everything. So basically, so I have 2 people that are so skilled and so smart and so versatile. They have done everything from research for me for my tech conference, helping me design architectural, documents, interacting with my web developers and my development team. I mean, everything. And so that's the other thing too, Erica. I think your question brings up a point around like when we look at people and we think about what skills people have and the types of contributions that people can make, right? I think, I think another tool of white supremacy, right? Like we believe that you got to have a certain degree from a certain school and a certain certification and a certain this and a certain that. And we look at those things and we say, okay, if we don't have that, then that's an indicator of our value, right? Or our worth or something like that. And it's not true. And I believe, and I don't know where whose quote it is, but the old quote, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. I believe that so deeply and thoroughly that you should never judge a book by its cover because you don't know what is in that book until you open it up, right? Until you start turning the pages, right? Until you start really digging in and seeing what it is. And so for me, like it's easy for me to do that because I'm up straight up what you see, what you get type of person. And I'm very curious about people. So it's easy for me to talk to people and uncover things from them just in a few minutes because I know I love people and I love to listen and I love to hear and I love to learn and I love to connect, right? So for me, it's kind of easy. Now, for somebody that is maybe more introverted or maybe less confident, about their communication, maybe because, white supremacy ain't, white supremacy and the culture of whiteness, right, is why and how we have learned to relate, not only to ourselves, with each other. And until we can, talk about it and be candid and transparent about it, we're not going to really be able to continue on. But if we have allowed, right, the white supremacist story of Black people, Black women, which is, we have all these negative things that people try to put on us. I just never accepted it. I just never believed it. And like if somebody tries to call me angry, I literally will laugh. Like literally, because I know I don't act angry. Now, are there things Black people should be angry about? Are there things that indigenous people all around this entire world should be angry about? Yes, because of what has happened. But I mean, people who know me, anybody who really knows me, I'm usually a happy person because I'm only going to be angry at a person or at a situation in that moment in a thing. So it's like I don't walk around with some angry chip on my shoulder. But I believe that people know that Black people, we should be angry, right? Just like indigenous people, Native American people should be angry. And but we can use that anger and do it for good, right? And we can take that anger and turn that righteous indignation into radical solutions, right? Dig deep, find out what are the solutions we need to pull out, and then we do it, right? And so when I did my tech conference last week, and we talked about it even at the BCon conference last month, which was amazing. That you have your own story, and you should own that, and don't let somebody else give you another story. And so that's how I'm trying to embody that, right, in every way I can.
Yeah. So for me, I've gone to school about 3 times, and I can tell you that school does not ensure that you have a job. Shout out to my favorite graphic design teacher, Shane Howe, who says, it's not your resume, it's your friends who will get you the job. And I thought he was making a joke, but he was being so serious. He even told us that's how he got his job, because he knew someone and that someone gave him a recommendation. So network is very important. And as far as judging your books by a cover, as a graphic designer, that's what I do. We manipulate things so you'll want it. We know what colors make people want things. We know what colors people are attracted to. And judging by your title of your book, that's how we're going to design it. And those are the colors we're going to use. And it's done that way on purpose.
Think about that, right? But you don't know what is in that book until you open it up and read it. Because the cover is an image, right? The cover is an image. And so does the insides match up to the image or not? So it's so funny that you started talking about this because that's one of the big themes in my upcoming podcast. So I don't want to spill the beans on it yet because I'm going to work with my partner on it on Saturday. After I record my second show, I'm going straight to the airport and getting straight on a plane to go to Chicago to work on my third show.
Wow. Well, let us know where we can find you so we can catch up on all your shows.
Absolutely. So first and best place right now, while my new site and business launch stuff is still underway, is to hit me up on LinkedIn, Vonda Page 03. Also follow my company page, Radical Change, on LinkedIn. Those are the best places to catch up with me. Saturdays, 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Central on Living Corporate, the group chat, 2 shows. And you will catch me on LinkedIn. I am on here posting and, creating content and trying to change the world.
Yep. All sounds good. Well, Vonda Page, Radical Change. I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me and sitting through all of my technical difficulties. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and time with us.
Absolutely. Anytime, I'm here for you. And, have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate it. You too.